Alright, shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, all higher praise, honor, glory to Yahweh. Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah, Kodash. Double honors to the elders, sing honors to the apostles. Preaching and teaching us this word of truth with sincerity as always. And without any further ado, I just want to get into this lesson, going into the Third World War. See what's gonna come. Start with this. Let's look at Revelation 11 here, 14. And it says, the second woe was past, behold, the third woe cometh quickly. God, that's what's gonna happen. That's what's gonna come. Now I got this other article here. It says, was on there? It was on this one. This article from Reuters says Iran widens attacks on U.S. bases in Gulf Hormuz. Tensions lift oil prices. Iran widens attacks on U.S. bases. Yep. This is all recent news I'm gonna get into here. Iran's guards say they targeted U.S. facilities in the region. The U.S. says it hit air defenses, coastal radars, small boats. Trump says the U.S. will be guardian of Strait of Hormuz. Con. So once again, this is what's coming. This is the book of Isaiah. Isaiah 8, verse 1 to 4. The subheading says, Isaiah and his children as signs. It says, the Lord said to me, take a large scroll and write on it with an ordinary pen. Maher Shahal Hash Baz. Verse 2, so I called in Uriah, the priest of Zechariah, son of Jeberechiah, as reliable witnesses for me. Verse 3, then I made love to the prophetess, and she conceived and gave birth to a son, and the Lord said to me, name him Mahar Sha'al Hashbaz. Anyway, it says, Isaiah 8 and 1. God commands the prophet to publicly display a large tablet inscribed with the phrase, Mahar Shalal Hashbaz, meaning speeding to the plunder, hurrying to the spoil. They served as a visible, undeniable prophecy, right? That is Assyria would swiftly conquer Syria and Israel. Right, that Assyria would swiftly conquer Syria and Israel. Yep. So again in that to say this, the Lord sent prophets to prophesy what's going to come. Most of the time it's a war, famine, pestilence, judgments. And that reminds you of the scripture in Jeremiah 28:8. The prophets before me, before thee, prophesied of old, both against many countries and great kingdoms of war and evil and a pestilence. Damn near all the prophets and all the books of the prophets have some type of judgment written about the kingdom falling, a nation it's gonna go be destroyed by war, by a bigger nation that's gonna come. In Daniel 7, you got the 4 beasts. In Daniel 2, you got the statue. The last kingdom of the statue being the iron mixed with clay, which represents this kingdom to the America. And I already know this, brothers already know this. This is just for those who don't know. Those that's coming in as wondering and trying to find out what's to come. Anyways, continuing on in verse 4. For before the child shall have knowledge to cry, my father and my mother, the riches of Damascus and the spoil of Samaria shall be taken away before the king of Assyria. Yup. And so that's going to come again. This time through America and other nations coming into America to besiege it, destroy it, all that stuff, so yeah, this is Isaiah 8 and verse 4. For before the child shall have knowledge to cry, my father and my mother, the riches of Damascus and the spoil of Samaria shall be taken away before the king of Assyria. Jumping to verse 7. Now therefore, behold, the Lord bringeth up upon them the waters of the river, strong and many, even the king of Assyria, in all his glory. And he shall come up over all his channels, and go over all his banks. And he shall pass through Judah, he shall overflow and go over. He shall reach even to the neck, and the stretching out of his wings shall fill the breadth of thy land, O Emmanuel. Jumping to verse 12. To get this point, say ye not a confederacy to all them that to whom this people shall say a confederacy, neither fear ye their fear, nor be afraid. And that verse there is 12, say not a confederacy is basically fear ye not their fear, nor be afraid, because we're not going to be afraid of what these people have, or what these people fear, basically. America getting destroyed. Which it needs to be destroyed anyway, because this land has been robbed and stolen from the natives from this land. Gad. That's like stealing a house. And now everybody was living in there, and none of these motherfuckers realized that the motherfucker owner of the house stole the house from the original owners. Now they're all fucking stupid and blinded, and holding up the American flags, which represents their gang sign. It's no different from a gang murdering another group of people that did nothing to them. And it's all you dumbass Americans, man, that hold up that flag and think this is your land, my land is your land type shit. No, nigga, you stole this land. Burn that fucking flag. And stop saying God bless America, man. Get that out of your fucking head. Then you'll actually walk around like you have some fucking common sense. This land was robbed and fucking raped from the Native American Indians. They don't teach you that in school. In school, they teach that it was Thanksgiving. Really, we call that Thanksgiving because they stole this land from Gad, man. And yeah, the first Thanksgiving, it was a peaceful one. But throughout the years, that wasn't any peaceful anymore. Throughout the years, more and more, you Edomites started coming in and thinking this was your land and not giving Gad any of his freedoms till there was no more Thanksgiving, man. Esau, it was Thanksgiving for Esau because of killing and robbing and telling Gad, fuck you, thank you, this is my land now. That's why he kept that holiday. But that shit was all. That shit started with one little fucking festival, one little feast gathering that Gad had with Esau, and that first one was peaceful. But after the years, they saw betrayal. Gad saw Edomites betraying them, breaking their peace. So Gad went to war. Esau killed more of Gad because he wanted their land. Made him sign bullshit contracts that he ultimately broke. He broke all the contracts. When you look into the history and when you actually study the history and study the roots of America, well, that's its roots. I'm saying all that to say this: the point. This land is all robbed and stolen. That's why it says in Zechariah, they shall enter into the house of the thief. That's the chariots, the UFOs, the angels riding, entering the house of this thief here, this place, America. This is the house of the thief. That's why it's likened unto a house. Going back to that example of the house, someone came and just stole this house from the original owners who built it, and then invited all these people in to come in to work for him and give them an identity that this is their house now. No, it was never your house. It was never your house, man. This was never your house. You sticking up that stupid American flag is a fucking insult to my existence and my heritage and my people's existence. And you stupid Israelites are doing the same thing. You're a fucking dumbass too, man. You don't belong anywhere, man. You're gonna be destroyed along and burned with this devil too. But it's all good, man, because it says in Genesis 2, just early paraphrase, he shall overcome in the last, though. Genesis 49, something like that. Anyway, continue on, man. That's why this third war is going to break off, though, ultimately. Yeah, and Gad tried to fight it. Gad tried to kill Esau and take him out to keep his land there. But that wasn't... That didn't happen because the Lord didn't want it to happen. It pleased the Lord for all this atrocities, catastrophic backbitings, dealings, backstabbing Esau, this devil did to us, to the tribes, all this betrayal, murder, Edomites, these devils did to the tribes. It pleased the Lord for that to happen because it was to fulfill prophecy for us going off. And for ultimately to usher in the time we're in right now, so the Lord can deliver us, man. So yeah, man. Anybody who's got an issue with that, hey man, may the Lord set a curse on your ass and deal with your arse, man. All right, So there's Isaiah 8 and verse 7. Now therefore, behold, the Lord bringeth up upon them the waters of the river, strong and many, even the kingdom of Syria in all his glory, and he shall come up over all his channels and over all his banks. And he shall pass through Judah, he shall overflow. Yeah, we read that. Skipping down to 13. Sanctify the Lord of hosts, and let him be your fear, and let him be your dread. And he shall be for a sanctuary, but for a stone of stumbling, and for a rock of offense to both the house of Israel, for a gin and for a snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem. And many among them shall stumble and fall and be broken and be snared and be taken. Yeah, and many among them shall stumble and fall. That's our people today, and be broken and snared. That's these Israelites today, and be taken. Yeah, that's these Jakes today. These 2/3. Going back to what King David told. Hold on, I got this call. It's not the call I expected. Continuing on in Isaiah 8, verse 18, he shall pasture Judah, he shall overflow and go over, and he shall reach even to, we're on 13. Sanctify the Lord of hosts, let him be your fury and let him be your dread. And he shall be for a sanctuary and for a sanctuary, that's a safe place. But for a stone of stumbling and for a rock of offense to both the house of Israel, and for a gin and for a snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem. And many among them shall stumble and fall and be broken and be snared and be taken. Gone. Yes, and this is what's going to happen to Jacob. They're going to be stumble, fall, broken, snared, taken. Because Esau has these camps, concentration camps. Well, that's not what they call them now. Whatever word they're going to call them. And they more than likely, by the look at it, they might use ICE to gather up Jakes as a martial law gets implemented when the third war breaks off. They got human incinerators. But Trump gave ICE a big ass budget when he first started in his presidency, like $1 billion something, $1 billion budget. I think it was 48 billion just to buy facilities. They've already bought, from what I looked at last time, a couple months back. They had 14 or 18 or 14 big major, don't quote me on it, major facilities, warehouses, empty out warehouses to put in migrants in there. Now, you don't have that many migrants here, man. Well, just me speculating, just me guessing. You can't be having that many migrants to where there's that much room for them in each one of those facilities, to where they still need more, because those are really, that's really a cop out for them to start setting up their camps, man, concentration camps. Those concentration camps to start putting in you Americans in there. Your kids and families, loved ones, mom, mothers, aunts, uncles, all your family up in there. All these people you see to be put up in there, man. So this is what's coming. This is what's gonna come to pass. Hey, so Con, man, gonna get this article here I have, because this Russia-Ukraine war is still brewing up. Is Iran war still going? And this China South China Sea situation, Taiwan going on over there, that's still in the making as we speak. Proceeding me to WW3. Then I'll get the article. This is the book of Joel 3, verse 9. Proclaiming this among the Gentiles. Prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Kind of the weak say, I'm strong. So the Lord's preparing all these nations, continuing on in 11. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about thither. Cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai Khan. Yes, so 12, let's see. Let the heathen be awakened and come up to the valley of Yahushua, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. It's all going to be so that Yahweh Shai can have these nations ready and gathered up in one spot to take out, to smoke out. So yeah, going back to this, Trump says U.S. reinstates blockade of Iranian shipping in the Strait of Hormuz after new clashes. Yeah, this recently just happened with the I think they call it Operation Bitch Slap. So I'm gonna actually look it up as well myself because I don't know much about it. Just heard about it. The term has been used in a geopolitical context. Officials in the U.S. administration have unofficially dubbed a series of renewed military strikes against Iran. Yeah, called Operation Bitch Slap. This was about 4 days ago or something like that. Last week. So hey man, just go into that. How that's gonna keep. That's people thought I was gonna be dead now because a couple of weeks ago or a month ago, I think it was a while back. From the first attacks, I think the new round of attacks happened around February, late February, or something like that. Yeah, it was around February 20-8, the late February. And now you have, then you had a ceasefire. Now it's, now by the looks of it, hey man, this shit ain't residing, man. It's not residing. This shit is alive and it's out here, man. Once again, man, the third wolf coming quickly. And I also googled this. This is recent news on North Korea. North Korea has recently accelerated its military expansion and foreign policy assertiveness, highlighted by leader Kim Jong-un overseeing major advanced weapon tests and ordering a significant naval buildup, including the unveiling of a new 5,000-ton warship and plans for a 10,000-ton vessel designed to carry nuclear weapons. Hey, there you go. Once again, prepare war. Wake up the mighty man. That's Kim Jong-un there, preparing. Matter of fact, we also had this. South Korea airs concerns over North Korean border activity. And that's bad news for South Korea because China's already threatening South Korea to take that island. I won't even Google this. Because I ain't gonna lie, it's been a while since I looked up into WW3 updates and stuff. Made a video on this. It says China does not currently plan to invade Taiwan and has no fixed timeline for doing so. U.S. intelligence assesses that Beijing strongly prefers to achieve unification. And that's all bullshit there. China consistently utilizes gray zone tactics such as frequent naval drills and cyber intrusions to intimidate Taiwan and test its defenses. Yeah, there you go. They're shooting their own self in the foot there. Military development. The People Liberation Army continues to steadily build the capabilities required to potentially seize the islands should the Chinese leadership decide the benefits outweigh the risks. And you know that's bullshit because their Pentagon even has came out and said that they speculate they may invade the land by 2028. That's one of the earlier dates they gave. They gave a more later date, predicting they'll invade by 2037 or 47 or some shit like that. That's just bullshit. Because that can happen, but based off of how things are going, man, that's the ship more than likely will come out way before that happens, man. And then once the chip comes out, we already know that it's gonna be game time, game over. This bitch is out its course. This bitch America is gonna it's out of its wits. This bitch America's overdue for its destruction by now. And I had some, what's it called? I have some.
Forget one game. Now you choose which slots to use spins on, exclusively on DraftKings Casino.
This article here says Russia strike his central, how do you say that, killing one and injuring at least 6. So that war is still going on, Russia-Ukraine war. You got Russia training with China here.
Neutrality is looking less and less convincing. Beijing's neutrality is looking less and less convincing. Ukraine's intelligence says 550 Chinese troops have completed military internships in Russia, and 180 Russian troops trained in China in a single month. Western governments have a word for what Beijing is doing. It is not neutrality. Kyiv says the military partnership is no longer just diplomatic. It's happening inside classrooms, barracks, and training grounds. The relationship between Moscow and Beijing is growing deeper than previously known. Ukraine's military intelligence, known as HER, says more than 550 Chinese troops have undergone internships at Russian military institutions as part of an expanding program of bilateral military cooperation. In a statement provided to Kyiv Post, HER said the exchanges have become a consistent practice, involving cadets, instructors, and military educators from both countries. According to the agency, the program runs in both directions. In November 2025 alone, more than 180 Russian military personnel completed internships at Chinese military academies, specializing in infantry, armored warfare, engineering, aviation, and air defense.
A consistent practice has been formed of conducting mutual internships of cadets, as well as instructor and scientific and pedagogical staff at higher military educational institutions and training centers of the armed forces of the Russian Federation and the People's Liberation Army of China.
The Ukrainian intelligence agency says more than 550 Chinese soldiers have also completed internships at higher military educational institutions in Russia, suggesting defense cooperation extends beyond joint military exercises. The disclosure adds to growing Western concerns over Beijing's support for Moscow. Although China continues to describe itself as neutral in the war in Ukraine, Kyiv and several Western governments argue that Chinese exports of dual-use technology have helped sustain Russia's military production. China has publicly maintained it is a neutral party in the Ukraine.
Yeah, look how much your boy threat China's is to the West, man, with helping Russia, as this woman's detailing here, explaining here, giving out this information here. So just going back to fucking AI overview, man. That shit is bullshit. Sometimes you ask them some shit and they just bullshit, man. That's a fucking bluff. So we just talk about how they should say peace and safety and sudden destruction shall come. So fuck the AI overview, man. They're going off there. They need to fix that shit. But yeah, man. Just explain.
Brain war, a position that has grown increasingly difficult to sustain under scrutiny. However, previous reports have also pointed to expanding defense ties. Reuters reported earlier this year, citing European intelligence sources, that around 200 Russian troops had received military training in China, with some later deployed to the battlefield in Ukraine. US-based think tank the Institute for the Study of War reported in September 2025 that Chinese firms were contributing to Russia's production of long-range drones. A Bloomberg report in April 2026 echoed similar findings. Last month, the two countries announced a joint naval drill in the Pacific, dubbed Joint Sea 2026, to be conducted near Qingdao. Meanwhile, China and Russia continue to publicly deepen military cooperation. The growing partnership has also drawn political criticism in Europe. Norwegian Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre has urged Beijing to use its influence over Moscow to push for a negotiated end to the war, warning that Europe-China relations will remain constrained as long as Beijing maintains close strategic ties with Russia. Neither Moscow nor Beijing has publicly responded to Ukraine's latest claims about the scale of the bilateral military internship program.
Yeah, so there goes that.
Now on Uber Eats, get a buy one, get one, create your own pizza from Papa John's. Order in so you can lock in.
That I also have this.
The country's state media.
North Korea plans to expand nuclear forces. Kim vows to overtake the world. Let's check this out. So just going into how the nation's preparing for war, man. That's why you gotta look at the news. That's why you gotta be watching. 2nd Ezra 9, Ezekiel 3, Ezekiel 33, the Watchman. Better to die the time diligently in itself. Watch as well as pray. Yahushua warned his disciples. So the third world coming quickly, man, once again.
Reported that Pyongyang will take new steps. North Korea is once again sending a message to the world, and this time it's about their nuclear arsenal. The country's state media reported that Pyongyang will take new steps to expand its nuclear forces, a move that is likely to heighten tensions in the Korean Peninsula and beyond. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has reportedly called for modernising the military by taking appropriate quantitative and qualitative measures. The measures are Kim's remarks came during an enlarged meeting of senior North Korean officials. According to the state media, Kim has called for efforts to further increase his country's nuclear assets with a goal to overtake the world.
Our status as a nuclear-armed country plays an important role in deterring enemies' potential threats and maintaining regional stability.
Well, at the meeting, officials discussed about expanding the role of the Reconnaissance General Bureau. This is North Korea's military intelligence agency. The officials underlined the need to improve the country's intelligence-gathering capabilities. The gathering also set plans to renew the technical infrastructure of combat systems and standardise and modernise existing military bases. Senior government officials also pledged to accelerate the construction of a 10,000-ton class strategic guided missile. So, North Korea is determined to walk the nuclear path, but has also taken steps to power its endeavour. Well, just last month, Kim was spotted observing a cruise missile launch and the test of several other weapons aboard Pyongyang's new 5,000-ton naval destroyer. The tests included those of a strategic, nuclear-capable cruise missile and of anti-ship, anti-submarine and air defense systems. According to the Korean Central News Agency, or the KCNA, the weapons tested marked Kim's push to build a nuclear-armed navy. Now, the focus isn't just on North Korea's military capabilities. For Pyongyang, its southern neighbour remains a contentious threat. And so, even at the meeting, North Korea reiterated its policy to designate South Korea as the most hostile nation. This was a status it accorded to Seoul earlier this year. In fact, North Korea had even warned of merciless consequences if provoked by the South.
So there you go, man. They're preparing for war, man. Got Moab there. North Korea there. China, Russia, alliance, North Korea. Preparing for war, upgrading their missiles. All these things, man, coming to pass, getting on.
The vast oceans of the Asia-Pacific have long been a bit of a defence industrial thunderdome for some of the world's foremost military shipbuilders.
Even China and Kim Jong-un reaffirm support. Their support for each other. Their support for each other. It says here. Their alliance.
And North Korea have reaffirmed their long-standing friendship with leaders Xi Jinping and Kim Jong-un, pledging to further strengthen strategic cooperation. Chinese President Xi Jinping, in a letter exchange with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, said that China will continue to support bilateral cooperation and safeguard the shared interests of both countries. He added that Beijing's commitment to its traditional friendship with Pyongyang will remain unchanged, regardless of shifts in the international situation. Meanwhile, Kim Jong-un said that North Korea-China relations have entered a new strategic level, describing the recent summit with Xi as a historic moment in advancing ties. Xi Jinping made these statements during a meeting with North Korean Premier Park Tae-song, who arrived in Beijing to attend events marking the 65th anniversary of the China-North Korea Friendship Treaty, signed in 1961. China and North Korea have also agreed to strengthen exchanges between their legislative bodies as both sides look to deepen bilateral ties. The agreement was reached during a meeting between China's top legislator, Zhao Leji, and North Korean Premier Park Tae-song in Beijing. Zhao said that the strategic guidance of Chinese President Xi Jinping and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un remains the foundation of the China-DPRK relations. Both sides agreed to carry forward traditional friendship, expand cooperation, and enhance exchanges between legislative institutions.
And in this video here, I'm about to play as loading. Just shows you once again, China preparing for
learning
war.
tougher tactics and training harder than ever before. But before a war is ever fought, sometimes the lives are lost. China's military is preparing for the wars of tomorrow. Its pilots are flying newer aircraft, learning tougher tactics and training harder than ever before. But before a war is ever fought, sometimes lives are lost simply preparing for it.
There you go. I'll play more of it in a minute. Just want to say that's how you know these people. These videos ain't getting any views. 68 views, 439 views. This one got 2,000 views. This one from Vertex got about Russia and China training together. I got 83 views. This one here got 68 views, no comments. So these people that really don't keep up with the news. They don't know what's coming. They don't know what's about to take place. People in general really don't watch the news or keep up with things that's going on, unless it's something big and that's just folly and distractions. Because you got distractions, you got these people on their phones and getting the games, phone games, movies, television, YouTube, other bullshit they're watching, and then they just got work there, or they got work all day. So they just come home and try to chill, and in general they're just soft, so they try to stay away from bad news in general. So yeah, man, it just goes to show you, man, how Amos 5 here, how that day of the Lord, the day of darkness, is gonna be catch these people by surprise, as it says, as the scriptures say, as in the day of Noah. They're caught up in folly, mirth, the circus, and bread. And that's exactly how these elites set up the system to get these people by surprise when the time comes. Amos 5 in verse 18. Woe unto you that desire the day of Yahweh, for what end is it to you? But the day of Yahweh is darkness and not light, as if a man did flee from a lion and a bear met him, or went into the house and leaned his hand on the wall, and a serpent bit him. Shall not the day of Yahweh be darkness and not light, even very dark, and no brightness in it? Come. And that's exactly how that day is going to be. Day of darkness. That's why us in the truth in this faith, the Lord's constantly instructing us through brothers to watch, pray, fast if it's in your spirits, fast as often as the Spirit commands you. Just do what you need to do. Read, study more, pray more, whatever your spirit's on you to get more on, focus more on. Humbling down, repenting. That's why we make these videos, because these people, they really don't know what's coming. They got their homes set. They got their homes. They got their foundation being built on this rock of America, which is really likened unto the sand. And Zephaniah 1:14, the great day of Yahweh is near and coming quickly. The cry on the day of Yahweh is bitter. The mighty warriors shouts his battle cry. That day will be a day of wrath, a day of distress and anguish, a day of trouble and ruin, a day of darkness and gloom, a day of clouds and blackness, a day of trumpet and battle cry against fortified cities and against the corner towers. I will bring such distress on all people that they will grope about like those who are blind, and because they have sinned against the Lord, their blood will be poured out like dust, and their entrails like dung. Neither their silver nor their gold will be able to save them on the day of the Lord's wrath. Come. In the fire of his jealousy, the whole earth will be consumed. He will make a sudden end of all who live on the earth. Yes, and that's what's coming. So I'm gonna just go back to the video here.
Lock in with a buy one, get one, create your own pizza from Papa John's and hundreds of other game day deals.
Finding a therapist you actually connect with can feel like a lot to ask, but 82% of better.
China's military is preparing for the wars of tomorrow. Its pilots are flying newer aircraft, learning tougher tactics and training harder than ever before. But before a war is ever fought, sometimes lives are lost simply preparing for it. China's military rarely admits when its own personnel die in training. But two quiet disclosures from local governments last week.
And I got this last video, and I'll close out with that. Maybe get a couple of scriptures, or if not, I'll just close out with that. Shalom.
The ceasefire is over. The bombs are falling again. Now, officials around Trump have given America's renewed campaign against Iran an extraordinary nickname, Operation Bitch Slap, as the White House prepares for a conflict that could last far longer than first expected. Diplomacy remains on the table, but war is back in the room. Trump says the ceasefire is over. Now, behind closed doors, his team reportedly has a new name for America's renewed military campaign against Iran, Operation Bitch Slap. Informal, provocative, and designed to send a message, it reflects a White House preparing for days or even weeks of strikes if Tehran refuses to back down. According to reports, US President Donald Trump is prepared for a prolonged military campaign against Iran if Tehran continues attacking commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz and expands its regional missile strikes. Sources familiar with internal discussions told the New York Post that some administration officials have informally begun referring to the renewed offensive as Bitch Slap, a colloquial nickname intended to signal a painful but decisive response rather than an official military operation. The reported code name follows Trump's increasingly aggressive rhetoric after he declared the 60-day ceasefire and the subsequent memorandum of understanding with Iran effectively over.
We just hit it very hard, and I'd say we hit it 20-1 every time they hit us. We hit them 20-20, and we did it last night. We did a little something today, but it was really retribution for last night. They hit actually three boats, not two. And when they hit back much hard. I know, but win it very quick. There's another way. We have many ways we can win. But we've already won militarily. They have very little. They have very little left. They want to make it so bad. They called a little while ago. They want to make it so bad. I just don't know if they're worthy of making. I don't know that they're going to honor that.
Why do you attack
Because it's sort of crazy, to be honest. It's sort of crazy. They're a little bit out of it. They want to make a deal badly.
According to officials, the duration of the campaign will depend entirely on Iran's next move. While Trump has repeatedly said he still prefers the conflict to end quickly, sources close to the White House say he has made it clear that if Iran continues firing on ships or attacking American interests, Washington will respond with even greater military force. Washington claims the latest strikes targeted around 90 Iranian military facilities, including missile and drone launch sites, Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps command centers, air defense systems, radar installations, and logistics infrastructure. Trump has also warned that future options remain on the table, including renewed blockades and strikes against critical Iranian infrastructure. Officials familiar with internal deliberations say Trump is making decisions largely on instinct rather than through lengthy consultations, giving himself maximum flexibility between expanding military operations and returning to diplomacy if Tehran changes course. Meanwhile, the New York Post has reported that Israel has signaled that it is prepared to join future American military operations if requested. Sources in Jerusalem said Israel has already demonstrated its willingness to stand alongside the United States and would be ready to do so again should the conflict escalate further. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz also declared that the Israel Defense Forces are prepared to strike Iran for a third time, and with even greater force if necessary.
The IDF is alert and ready to renew the campaign, to achieve renewed air superiority, and to strike. Blue and white in Iran to remove threats, even for the third.
Yeah, so that's the point, man. This thing didn't. The ceasefire didn't last. This shit got over with. And they might claim another ceasefire later. And it's just gonna go back to that, man, because prophecy is gonna be fulfilled. As the scriptures say, there are many plans in the man's heart. Proverbs 19:21. There are many devices in a man's heart, plans. It's devices. Nevertheless, the counsel of the Lord The counsel of the Lord, and the Lord's name is Yahweh, that shall stand. Yep. And we just brought it out in Revelation 11 and 14. The third woe coming quickly. Scriptures prophesied of the First World War, Second World War. When you go into Revelation 9, that was speaking on the First World War, World War One, and then the planes they had. So the scriptures there in Revelation 9 liken it onto scorpions or something with I forgot. I have to look back, but yeah. And then you go into Revelation 13 and talks about the fire. He said fire from heaven. That was the Second World War. Revelation 11 and 14, it says the Second War is past. That's the scriptures prophesying the First World War, Second World War, and Third World War. Revelation 17 and 16 is a prime example of that. NATO betraying America, which is going to happen. So with that, that's the point. Shalom. And hopefully this is edifying. The Lord's preparing these nations and gathering them up. It's also in Zephaniah. I'll close. Actually, it's like I said I was going to close, but actually I'm going to close out with this. Zephaniah 3 and 8, because this is why this is going to happen. To deliver the Lord's people. Therefore wait ye upon me, says Yahweh, until the day that I rise up to the prey. So this is when Yahweh shall returns, to rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations. Scriptures say that he was vengeance is in his heart. That's the determination there, to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms. That's all. That's a mountain of troops. That's why Armageddon is called mountain of troops in the Hebrew, Armageddon. Because the Lord is going to gather all those nations there and stack them on top of each other, their dead bodies. To pour upon them mine indignation. Indignations like unto a fiery anger from the Lord, even all my fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire. There's the fire again of my jealousy. The Lord Yahweh is jealous for his people. He's going to deliver his people, save his people. Shalom.